It's Christian X and welcome to this video and welcome to the first ever rendition of Praise Appraisal, where I determine if a thing is worth the praise or not worth the craze. Okay, what the hell does that even mean?
Well, that's basically saying it's not worth going crazy over. Although I do suspect that it could also have a double meaning in terms of not worth getting enraged over it.
Wait, so if I get enraged over a game, that means it's not worth it, right?
Say, weren't you going to do this show for games you had zero nostalgia for?
That's partly how it'll work, yes. This is the best slogan we could have come up with, huh?
Yep.
Kirby! Kirby. Everyone's favorite vor specialist minus the sexual pleasure. Created by Masahiro Sakurai of Smash Bros. Fame, Kirby would see his first game in 1992 on the Game Boy in Kirby's Dream Land. The gameplay in which Kirby sucks up enemies and barfs them back out at other enemies actually did pretty well for itself. Kirby would get a sequel on the same system, but not before an NES entry. 2 years into the Super Nintendo's lifespan. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but if we don't count the handheld game releases, Kirby's had a bit of a history of his mainline series games releasing on a dated console, not including the GameCube and the Wii U, as those didn't actually have mainline entries. Which begs the question as to whether Star Allies in 2018 broke the trend of late-life home console mainline Kirby games, or if it didn't and was just another properly timed handheld mainline release. My estimated answer? Yes. Of course, that doesn't change the fact that Kirby games have always been fun, and Kirby 64 seems to be no exception, especially with a special gameplay element thrown in to spice things up, although it's one that has not returned to the series since, somewhat like the Super Forms in Return to Dreamland, Triple Deluxe, and Robobot. Seriously, I doubt Miracle Fruits will come back soon as cool as they were. Well, I've wasted enough time on that intro. So let's get into Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards. Oh, right. Spoilers! The game begins with a neighboring planet called Ripple Star being invaded by a dark entity as a young fairy named Ribbon escapes along with their special treasure called the Great Crystal. During her escape, the crystal manages to shatter and she lands nearby Kirby, who offers to help, because Kirby is a good boy with good boy points. And a gold star. The gameplay then begins and is 2.5D, I think? Honestly, I'm never entirely sure what 2.5D is, but since it's side-scrolling in a 3D environment of sorts, I think it counts. Throughout the first world, being Popstar, insert BTS reference here, Kirby has to fight a few friends being controlled by the aforementioned dark entity known simply as Zero. No, but that'd be a neat crossover. The friends in question are Lone Waddle Dee, who I like to think is the inspiration for Bandana Dee, a new character in a young artist named Adeline, or Line, however it's pronounced, sorry, and King Dedede, the on-again, off-again villain who is apparently never able to figure out if he's evil, good, or ambivalent. They each join Kirby and Ribbon on the journey after getting the evil literally conked out of them and usually help you out in certain parts of the levels, with Adeline potentially helping with puzzles and with items, Dedede being the muscle with his hammer, and Waddle Dee just joins you in a ride to look cute. Aww. And then he usually falls out of the ride. As for the gameplay, it's your typical side-scrolling Kirby game. Now what makes it different than other Kirby games both past and present involves the power-ups. Of course, you can inhale an enemy to gain their power, which in this game can be...
I need a new diaper.
But notice how there are 2 white blocks down there where the power is. Well, you can press the R button to take your power-up, turn it into a star, and throw it at an enemy with a different power-up to create a power combo. Just the idea of what you can make with this is astounding. In fact, there are 7 different power-ups, being Burning, Stone, Ice, Needle, Bomb, Spark, and Cutter. Not like the Diamond Cutter, but that would be pretty sweet. Including these with the power combos, there are a total of 35 abilities Kirby can use, which I feel like is the most of any Kirby game. Although upon looking it up, there's claims that Kirby Star Allies has the most even though it is at 28, and if we include the power-ups when used by animal forms, Kirby's Dream Land 3 has 56! Either way is pretty damn impressive, and yes, you can also combine the same power-ups to form a more powerful version of the singular power-up, which also causes the Cutter power-up to give Kirby teeth in his body, and it makes it feel like Kirby's innards are like that of the Obelisk from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and that Kirby was supposed to be terrifying all along. By the way, you can't fly infinitely in this one like other Kirby games. 0 out of 10, most unrealistic game about a sentient pink balloon ever. There's also mini-games as well that you can play with friends, ranging from a 100-yard hop, where you hop across a track in a race while trying to avoid hazards. I got second place. Said Bumper Crop Bump, where you catch fruit as they fall and try to keep the other players from doing so. I got first place, so best mini-game. And Checkerboard Chase, where you try and break the floor below the other players enough times when they're eliminated. I got last place, therefore worst minigame, my controller broke, the sun was in my eyes, my dad's work is hell labs! Stories usually conveyed through cutscenes with no text and no talking, much like most Kirby games, but I still would have liked something here to explain some bits, mostly Adeline's name pronunciation and also the fact that her and Ribbon's names are never revealed in-game. I had to Google this stuff or just read the N64 manual and close with the Wii U's digital Virtual Console file thingy, which, by the way, is a fun throwback that they do for some Virtual Console entries, largely with N64, GBA, and the DS games on there. Nice touch. Wait, where was I? Oh, right, story cutscenes. They're so adorable, and I'm honestly glad that Ribbon and Adeline get the HD treatment and come back in Star Allies through an update. But you know what's also adorable? Kirby can turn into a walking light bulb in this game. And you can also get what is arguably the best power-up in this entire game. It's the discounted bargain bin version of Darth Maul's dual lightsaber, which I'm pretty sure is directly inspired by exactly that in The Phantom Menace, and I just love it. Look at that face. That is the face of a cold-blooded Sith Lord. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail with all the bosses and levels, but you see how World 5 looks a bit like Earth in some of the patterns? Yeah, there was a theory that that was Earth during the Ice Age, or in a frozen apocalypse. I want to say the theory also claims that Kirby existed during the actual Ice Age the Earth had, but my memory's fuzzy, and despite people believing Sandy Hook was a hoax and that Pizzagate is legit, I still have faith that people aren't that stupid to think Kirby existed in real life. Although, let's be honest, we'd all want that. He may even be as cuddly as Jigglypuff in the new Detective Pikachu movie. Anyway, let's get into the factor of the main collectible of the game, the titular Crystal Shards. There are 3 of these hidden in each level, with one that you automatically get in the main boss of each world. By the way, some of those bosses just suck. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of them weren't fun to get. You could argue that that was only because I tried getting them all in one straight perfect run of each level, which required constant restore points with having done them on my own time months before this review, but sorry, they were still a chore to get. It especially doesn't help that these are required for the true ending of the game, which just adds a pinch more of salt about it. What also wasn't fun was finding that I made it to a part with the Crystal Shard, found out that I don't have the power up and would have to go to a level prior to it, sometimes way back in the first world, get a specific power combo, finish the level or exit the level, since I recall you can do that, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong though, and then go into the level in question, and don't lose a power up and or die before then, because then it's back to the prior level for the power combo all over again. By the way, I had the dual lightsaber in one Shard's case, and decided to try and see if the lightsaber would work in getting it. I was genuinely surprised that it worked. Luck favored me in that instance. God has spared me my suffering for about 3 seconds. So once you get to the big baddie in Zero, his boss fight is objectively the worst IMHO, because you can't go in with any power-up and are expected to swallow his attacks and then barf them back at him, but you gotta be quick or he'll move to the next attack, and he is impervious to every other attack that he isn't using, but is also invincible when he isn't using any attack. Yeah, that's fun. Zero's a bag full of laughs. Like the Joker when he killed Jason Todd. I know he technically wasn't killed by Joker and that was kind of retconned. Shut up! Once you do beat Zero, Ripple Star is saved and Kirby and friends are sent home with DDD being the saddest freaking thing I have ever seen. I just want to hug him and feed him soup from the clothing store. Oh. Well, that doesn't look too appealing. Yeah, like I said, the Crystal Shards are required for the ending. And if you didn't try getting all the Crystal Shards before facing Zero for the first time, you have to fight him again! This is partly why I had gotten the Crystal Shards months prior all in one go, and made sure to do most of the gameplay on a second file as well, you know, for recording purposes. Substitute one pain for the other. After beating Zero again, the Great Crystal is formed whole and then zaps the Fairy Queen to bits. The Great Crystal is the true villain all along, roll credits. Actually no, it zaps Zero's presence out of the Fairy Queen, as Zero then leaves to form his own planet in Darkstar, and Kirby and Ribbon set off with the crystal to stop him. There, they face the true form of Zero in Zero 2. Not the most creative name, but whatever. And I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't for the life of me figure out what to do, but when I did, the boss fight was literally a cakewalk. Hell, I almost got him max in one phase. By the time his weak point receded into his underside, gross, he only had about 1/8 of his health left. That's how easy he was. And the fact that this was easier than Zero's first form is not only insulting, but it means Zero 2 is a downgrade. It's like giving up Windows 10 for the early Apple computers that could only play Reader Rabbit. Of course, Kirby saves the day, everyone is rewarded for their efforts, and Kirby even gets a kiss from Ribbon. I want to ship these two now. Actually, you know, I know that Kirby is called a he, but is he actually a guy? I feel like that's something Tumblr should be debating on, but does it mean that there are female Kirbys? Or is Kirby the only one of his kind? In fact, how would Kirby reproduce? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards. So, how much of my praise do I think it's worth? About 80%. Yeah, I didn't really think of anything clever for the title card or even like showing the praise amount. I'm still just trying to figure this out as I go along, so just bear with me, guys, okay? Yeah, the game was frustrating at times, but again, I did kind of make it harder on myself, even if I probably would have had a bit less fun dealing with Zero's first form twice. The concept of combined power-ups was still managing to be the best thing about this game, with mixing and matching to see what you make, even if some of them are absolutely terrifying to no freaking end. It's something that I'd like to see revisited in a Kirby game, if ever possible too. Also, the game felt a lot more fun when I wasn't focusing on Crystal Shard collecting, making me feel like that's possibly why they didn't really make it so future games require collectibles for the real ending every single time. So that's always fun to know and look forward to. All in all, it's a fun game that, if not going for the real ending, you'd probably beat in as little as 3.5 hours. I know I did. However, let's be honest, getting all the shards and such was worth it to see the most adorable scene in Kirby history. Seriously, I ship. Well, this honestly was better than what I originally planned for the format of this series to be. I guess for now I'll just play some Nintendo. Ooh, NES Online got updated. I wonder if the new SP version is actually going to be like beefed up Zelda 1 and not just be the end of the game again. Nope!